Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on how a 23-year partnership between the United States of America and South Africa is coming to an end purely because of the South African government's arrogance, ignorance, stubbornness, pick one. It's one of those. But in essence, this relationship that assisted HIV patients in this country to the tune, and listen carefully, listen properly, the 23-year partnership benefited South Africa to the tune of 131 billion rand with a B. But now, because the South African government decides to rather align themselves with China, Russia, and more importantly, Iran, that is why the United States is now ending this partnership, and the end date is early in 2027, where we have received hundreds of millions of rand a year, and that will now go down to zero. And the reason for that is because the South African government does not want to adhere to 5 simple requests from the United States. And as we know, South Africa has made it very clear, specifically the government, that they align with Iran, Russia, and China. And as a country that is providing billions of dollars to South Africa, you would understand that they would request that South Africa adheres to their worldview and their ideological beliefs. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because South Africa would rather side with governments that kill their own people, that oppress their own people, and that just invade other countries to start wars, because that makes so much more sense. But ultimately, we are here right now where Pepfar is coming to an end, and that, like I said, is assisting HIV and AIDS patients with medicine that they require that is literally life-saving. But now, of course, mainstream media is going to turn this into the United States not caring about HIV and AIDS patients. They are going to blame AfriForum, Solidariteit, the usual suspects. We already see Max de Pre in an opinion piece blaming AfriForum and Solidariteit for the United States stopping Pepfar, when there's so much evidence as to why the United States is specifically stopping the Pepfar agreement with South Africa. Now, I'm going to show you the articles, but before I do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. And while you're at it, also smash the like button, and please share this video with your friends and family. It'll be greatly appreciated. All right, let's have a look at what the media has to say. So Business Tech says United States plans to end its longest running deal with South Africa. And if you go into the nitty-gritty, it says the South African government says it has not received any formal notification from the United States that funding for key HIV and AIDS programs will be phased out. This is despite reports that Washington is preparing to end more than 2 decades of support through the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, which is Pepfar, the longest running international public health partnership in South Africa's history. President Donald Trump's administration told journalists on Thursday, the 18th of June, that it plans to permanently end Pepfar funding in South Africa, with a phased withdrawal expected to be completed by early 2027. The decision would bring to a close a partnership that has operated for 23 years and has channeled more than $8 billion, which is 131 billion rand, into the country's HIV response. Reports citing U.S. State Department officials indicated that the administration believes South Africa, as a middle-income country, is capable of financing its own health program, and that Pepfar was never intended to be a permanent initiative. The reported justification for the move includes South Africa's relationship with Iran, its black economic empowerment policies, and concerns over the Kill the Boer chant as unmet conditions behind the decision. It goes on and on, but instead of that, I will just also illustrate that the ambassador from the United States in South Africa, Bozell, clearly made this clear when he addressed the president and the country, The US is running out of patience with the South African government, which has not addressed 5 demands the superpower made to smooth relations between the two countries. The non-response about a year after the demands were made was becoming a statement, according to new US Ambassador to South Africa, Leo Brent Bozell III, who addressed the BizNews conference in Hermanus on Tuesday, but that was obviously long ago. He also decried as not helpful insults by President Cyril Ramaphosa in an interview with the New York Times last week, in which Ramaphosa was quoted as saying US President Donald Trump's refugee policy favoring white Afrikaners is racist. Now it goes on and on. Now it also speaks to this website over here that mainstream media in South Africa hasn't really covered as to the reasons why, but it's actually stated very clearly as to why this is taking place. Now, if you look here, a Senate aide said State Department officials, when pressed, cited unmet conditions placed on South Africa as justification for the decision, including demands that Pretoria reduce its partnership with Iran, end black economic empowerment policies, and address the Kill the Boer anti-apartheid chant. None of these asks have anything to do with health, the aide argued. They are all political. When asked whether the administration had conducted or planned an impact assessment of ending the program, the aide said administration officials replied they would consider it. The State Department official argued Pepfar was never intended to be permanent and that South Africa is a middle-income country and is more than capable of supporting its own health programs. But just to get back to what those asks were, if you look at what Bozell said over here. The asks are rethink the Expropriation Act and broad-based black economic empowerment, condemn the Kill the Boer chant, prioritize farm murders to protect white farmers, and be non-aligned, meaning cut all of the weird ties that you have with Iran, Russia, and China, especially with them giving so much money to South Africa. And also, just to illustrate how tone-deaf mainstream media and the woke left are, you can just look at what Max de Pree wrote here. Thank you, AfriForum and Solidarity. People are going to suffer because of your manufactured Afrikaner victimhood. And this is in reference to the BBC reporting that the US is to end funding of South Africa's HIV program over claims of Afrikaner persecution. So Max de Pree and mainstream media, after the United States have told them for the last year what they require in order to keep this relationship going with South Africa, they are completely tone deaf, acting like they didn't hear or see these demands from the United States. And now, of course, they would just like to blame AfriForum, Solidariteit, and right-wing South Africans for the United States stopping this. I would like to know why Max thinks that the United States owes South Africa anything. Let's argue that South Africa wasn't aligned with Iran, China, or Russia. Why would the United States need to send billions of rands to South Africa? For what reason? But besides that, the fact that since 2003, Pepfar was sent to South Africa to the tune of 131 billion rand over the last 23 years. This now apparently is not enough for Max de Pree, and now because the government of this country is failing to adhere to 5 very simple requests, he now blames completely the wrong people. And of course, mainstream media is driving that narrative too, of blaming Solidariteit, AfriForum, alternative media voices like myself. We are to blame for the United States stopping funding to South Africa. Not the ANC government that took Israel to the ICJ or, cozying up to Iran and meeting with Hezbollah agents and congratulating Hamas and sending sympathy to Hamas. None of that. No. It's definitely because of AfriForum and Solidariteit. This is how disconnected people like Max de Pree and mainstream media are in this country, where they will gladly overlook a request that has been there for the last year. And those requests are stop broad-based black economic empowerment, condemn Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, protect minority farmers in this country, in actual fact, protect all farmers in this country, and just do not adhere to expropriation without compensation. Those are requests that any rational democracy in the world will agree to, but yet South Africa's government didn't even respond to any of those requests, and they just thought that they were going to receive money from the United States until kingdom come. And now that they finally say, well, there are consequences to your non-action, now people like Max de Pre are blaming completely the wrong people, because that is just how dishonest people like Max de Pre and mainstream media are in this country, specifically Adrian Basson and Pieter de Tooy, because they have got an anti-Trump narrative, they've got a pro-ANC narrative, and ultimately they just want to create boogie men that is not the ANC government because of the protection that they want to give this government. So at what point will the penny drop for these woke leftists and mainstream media to understand that our second biggest trading partner is not messing around, and ultimately the people that will suffer in this country is not the fault of the United States, Sakeliga, AfriForum, alternative media, right-wing people. It is because of the ANC government. And until they realize that and start reporting on that, things like this is just going to get worse and worse. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button, share this video far and wide. Don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. However, if you'd like to add financially to this channel, you can do so by giving a super thanks. And you can look for the $ somewhere below and choose an amount. Or you can become a member to this channel by clicking the join button below. And that's all I got to say. Till later. Cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.